Well, 2013 started off badly for my winter hiking. I had 2 failed attempts at Owl's Head, and then here 1 failed attempt on Hancock. I had been carrying a cat toy that the cats had given me that we were calling Mountain Mouse, and started to blame him for the failure, so I did leave him behind on the second try.
Alright, so I'm just about ready to start in earnest. It's about 10 o'clock and temperature's really mild. I'm probably going to be stripping down a lot before the end of the day. Here's the trail. It's probably snowed a couple of inches since last night, or well, I guess middle of the week when people were out here. So I'm hoping to be able to get to the first split within an hour, maybe at the most, depending on how this goes. And then I'm thinking about setting my camp up in that area, and then I'll kind of go on from there. 1 mile in 22 minutes, and I think it's 1.8 to the first junction, so I'm really making really good time. You know, actually a good marketing ploy for you would be to tell me that a touch would do everything that this camera's doing right now. And you know, since the technology is so much improved, I could use the camera, take 10 megapixel pictures and you know, shoot HD video, maybe 3D if we get 2 of them. So this is the end of the forest protection area. So what I think I'm going to do is go up that way a little farther and set up the tent to try to document the tent site before I go. It's actually starting to snow, I think. I'm uphill from it right now. I had to use dead man anchors because the snow is a lot deeper than it looks through here. And you may appreciate this when I get over here. There's the inside. Right here, that's a spruce trap. So I kind of almost set the tent right on top of it. I thought it was pretty good. So when I was leaving the campsite, I realized I had a problem with the snowshoe. The attachment point for the cleat for the crampon part had broken, it had sheared a pin off, and so the shoe was basically floating. It was in danger of completely detaching. So I did a quick repair using a round cotter pin from a thermometer that I had, but it didn't last very long, which you'll see later. Ultimately, I made it to the next junction where the main loop trail splits off to the 2 mountain peaks, but realized that I was going to have too many problems and headed back out. So there's somebody who wanted part of my lunch because he saw me eating some goo. I had to tell him that I don't think birds like goo. How you doing, buddy? Sorry, I don't have anything. And my snowshoe repair has broken down, so I think I might be stuck again. And I'm hoping, I don't want to barefoot this. So I'm back out, and actually just wanted to show you. Those are the tri-pyramids, which are to the south. One of these days I'll go that direction. I'm right on the hairpin. I'm going to try to walk across because the guy that went up after me looks like he just cut straight across the road, which is probably better than what I ended up doing. Here's his tracks. I kind of walked 400 or 500 feet on the road, which was a little tricky. So not to be deterred, I went back the next weekend. It had been a lot warmer just in the interim, and so some of the streams that have been bridged completely with snow and ice were starting to open up. And I'm kind of glad you didn't see that one. The ice gave way when I was about halfway across, so my left boot went up probably about halfway up in the water. Came out, I have this giant ice crust on my left boot. Had to...
I'm back to the loop junction already.
Left of that. %, maybe. Hey, buddy. It's kind of like I'm front pointing with my snowshoes the whole way. Kind of kick with your toes. Make sure your cleat digs in. And try not to lose all your forward momentum. How's my hair? It may not go above tree line, but it should be really close based on what the trees are doing. This is the overlook.
So this is the North Peak. Most people, I think, do North Peak first and then go clockwise around to the South Peak. It was kind of snowing a little bit, so the view wasn't all that great, but a lot of the top, it never got quite above tree line, but the trees were really stunted. Kind of at the very top, they were just a little bit taller than I was. I was taking a picture there, and right after I took it, the first one, there was a big gust of wind that blew all the snow off the trees onto me. This is the overlook off the South Peak, which is really pretty steep. I think if you dropped anything, it would just slide to the bottom. Then there's also this slide area on the North Peak, which I was worried I was going to have to go up, but fortunately the trail kind of goes around that.
It's something I really hadn't planned to do, but this trail is super steep and it's super slick, and most people slide down on their butts. So, gotten everything organized. Let me try to give you a little bit of a ride here.
I use the ice axe most of the way down just to control my speed, so that's that metallic sound you hear most of the way. And there are spots like this where it kind of levels out, so I'm actually using my feet to kind of kick myself along, pull myself downward.
Short.
safely down from the summits, I went back and set up camp, started to get ready for the night. So I'm melting some snow to replenish my water supply, and it's really kind of a hassle, which I had known. It takes about one of these full buckets to make not quite a liter. I didn't think it was actually that cold, but I'm starting to get a lot of ice crusting on the inside of the one that wasn't insulated at all. This is a quick tour of the inside of the tent. It was actually probably about 20 degrees at that point and got down to maybe 10 overnight. That's the end of the sleeping bag. My bag has so much loft it actually touched the roof of the tent. I kept a glow stick in the sleeping bag just so I would have a source of light if I needed it in the middle of the night and wouldn't have to dig around for a headlamp. It's gonna crap out of me again soon. This has been a successful trip. There's ice all over the front of the camera from getting condensed on last night and stuff. So that was the Hancocks. It was about 9.8 miles. It took me a little over 6 hours, including stops for clothing changes and things. It was the first use of the Hilleberg tent and the first use of the Western Mountaineering sleeping bag. Actually, the first actual use of the Thermarest all season too. So it was a good trip.